Hello everyone, and welcome to my second tutorial on the web framework Streamlit in Python. For this tutorial, I would like to make a simple password or passphrase generator, as security is something becoming more and more important each and every day. And I think it's both a useful tool and the application will show you some of the other things you can do with Streamlit and how to generate random passwords. To get started, we'll install the dependencies. So while we're in our new folder, we'll just pip install Streamlit. As you can see, my dependencies are already satisfied because I installed them previously, but for you, it should just say installed successfully. Pip install random word. No, that's not. Oh, okay, did it. And pip install requests. We'll need requests for getting our words, but I'll show you that later. Once this is done, we can close the terminal for now. And the next thing we do is setting up our directory structure. This is really easy. We need one Python file, which I'll be calling app.py, and then a .streamlit folder with two files, a config file and a secrets file. The secrets file will hold our API key for the API Ninja random word API, which I'll show you how to get. Okay, why don't we do that first and go and get that API key? So if you navigate to the api-ninjas.com/API, you should come to this page. And when we scroll down a bit, actually I think I can, no. So we just scroll down. There should be something here called random word. This will be the API we're using. To do this, you just register for a free account, which you should be able to do right here. I'm already logged in, but registering should only take you like a minute. Then you should get a screen similar to this one. And when clicking here, you'll get your API key. I'm not actually going to show you mine because otherwise you guys could be using it, but it should point itself out. It's not difficult at all. So once you get that API key, copy it down because we'll need it in a second. And then we navigate back to our VS Code. And in the secrets.toml file, we will just add it. So we go API ninja equals, and then you paste your API key here. Make sure to add the double quotes so Python doesn't get complaining or doesn't start complaining afterwards. Okay, once that is done, we can start actually coding. So we change our directory to the app.py file. And the first thing we need to do is import our dependencies. We have 5 dependencies, 3 of the ones we installed through the pip command, and 2 are built into Python itself. Both secrets and string will be used to generate our password, because secrets is, as to the current date, the most secure way to truly randomly generate characters for a password. The .random method in Python actually doesn't suffice, and that's why we'll be using secrets. After we've done that, we can do some Streamlit configuration, as it needs to be done first because I'll show you. So these are the Streamlit settings, and it is this command, the set page config command, that needs to be run as the first function in your Streamlit app. Otherwise, it will start to complain, which is really annoying. And just do this, and you'll be all set. Then we have an optional block here, which does some clever hiding of Streamlit logos and hamburger menus and all that. It's not necessary for the app to function, but it looks nicer that way. If we want to quickly check if our app is running, we can do that. We just go Streamlit run app.py, and it should automatically open a browser window. And we should see a browser window open, which will only show our icon and title we defined earlier. I find it easy to just have let Streamlit run in the background now, because it will live update any changes we make to the application. Okay, going back to the application, we can now start the actual coding. So this app will actually be split up into two partial apps, so to say. On one hand, we'll be defining the password generator functions. And password generator function, it's only a single function. And on the other hand, we'll be defining the two functions that will help us create the passphrase. The password generator is set up like this. So we first add both letters and digits to an alphabet variable. We'll use that alphabet variable to randomly select characters that will form our finalized password. We use the built-in Python string module for this. Afterwards, we set the password length, which is 14 characters at current, but you can change it to whatever you want. 14 should suffice at the moment. We then define the empty password string, and then for I in range, so we call the secrets.choice method 14 times from the alphabet string to get our passwords. And the last thing we do is add the generated password to the session state password variable. I'll explain more in detail how this works later, but it will allow us to only use a single variable to both store the password or the passphrase, and will cut down the amount of coding we need to do immensely. Okay, once we've done that, we can start on the passphrase generator, which is actually split into two functions. First and foremost, we need to call the random word API. So we have the URL, this is this, and we need to enter our API key here. The API key is actually entered through the secrets method, which allows us to hide it and to, if you don't forget, which I did the first time, not upload it to GitHub by accident. So the function then checks if we got an okay response. If that is the case, we do some editing on the returned word because there are some extra characters we don't need. We split a few of them off, and you can always print each step to check what the response is. But what you actually need is this, and this will return one random word from the API Ninja Words API. We also, which is important, return an error message with the response error code and the text if for some reason the connection to the API Ninja API doesn't work out. Once we have this, we need to define our second function, which will actually start generating the passphrase. To do this, we first define an empty passphrase string, and then we set a range. This is the amount of words we'll use for our passphrase. 5 should suffice. You can do whatever you want here. And then we append a random word we get from the previous function plus a dash to the passphrase string. After we've done this 5 times, we trim off the last dash with the colon -1 here, and we assign the passphrase to the session state password variable here. This is the same variable we used for the password, and it will allow us in a few minutes to just display it in a single place. And when you choose a password, it will be a password displayed. When you choose a passphrase, it will be a passphrase that is displayed. Okay, now that we've defined all the functions, we need to start build out the Streamlit application. So first thing we do is initialize the passphrase, the password variable in session state, because Streamlit will go looking for it at the start, and as long as we don't call any of the functions, it will throw an error because it doesn't exist yet otherwise. So we initialize it to an empty string, and then we use some Streamlit magic, which are just certain, if you could call it shortcodes, you can enter that do various things. This will create a horizontal divider, which is really easy to just create some space real quick. What we'll do then is create two columns that will need to nicely display the choices we have. So either do I want a password or a passphrase? To do this, we define the two column names. We call the Streamlit columns method. This defines how wide every column needs to be. If I recall correctly, the maximum amount of columns is 10, so we make it four columns wide each, and we define the gap as large. This would be the space between the two columns. To add code to a column or display code within a column, it's as simple as calling the with statement on the column name. Caption is a Streamlit method that allows you to display text that is usually used as a hint for something. We use it to show the user what the current password length will be. And then we display a button. And for that button, the key is password button. You can choose whatever you want. The only thing you need to make sure of is that it's unique, because otherwise it will produce an error. And the onClick function is just generate passwords. This is the first function we defined here. And because we already took care of the assigning the generated password to the session state password variable, that's all we need to do. We do the same thing for the passphrase. So in the second column, we again add a caption that explains what the current length of our passphrase will be. We create a button with a unique key, and we call the generate passphrase function, this one here, on click. Okay, after that's done, we'll add some more Streamlit magic. This will just generate empty space, so it's like a new line without any text in it. And then to display our actual passphrase button, actually our password or passphrase value, we just create three columns again. This is only to make it look nice. So I wanted to center the password, and this was by far the easiest method to do so. So we create three new columns. They need to have a unique name, so different from this one, otherwise it would give problems. And we define the first and the third column as only having one column's width of space, and the middle one is 4. We put empty strings, this is another bit of Streamlit magic, empty strings within the first and the third column. And in the middle column, we again call caption to show the generated secure password or passphrase. And then a subheader, which will make it large enough to read easily, to display what is currently in the session state variable password, which we, if you recall, assigned either a passphrase or a password to. When this is all said and done, we should be able to see our application again. Let's just refresh it because I didn't call it to rerun every time. And there you now see an empty field here. And when I click generate secure password, it generates a password. When I click generate secure pass sentence, it takes a few seconds because it's calling the API, but then it returns this. We can keep doing this however we want. And that's all. I didn't want to make this too complicated. It was just to show proof of concept and also to allow people to easily generate them, because it's really hard for humans to come up with truly random combinations. We think we do, but it's actually always structured, and this can be used to break a password more easily. I have some ideas to expand it. I would like to probably add a choice to both columns that you can use to select or set the length of your password or passphrase, and have this part updated dynamically based on that choice. If you have any other ideas, please let me know or send me a message, and enjoy coding. Bye.